what got you into fitness, how you've built your brand, your career, because you do have such an established following of people that just, man, they have the buy-in, and that's the coolest thing. So I just want to hear your story, Laura.
My story's simple. I was just one of those kids who, like, oh, I was small when I was young. I was tiny. I was petite. That is the nice way of saying it. I was a petite child.
You were tactical. That's it's all about how you phrase it, right?
I was aerodynamic. So, but there was a turning point, and I remember it so clearly. I mean, after all these years, I remember I went into a Borders bookstore. This is how long ago it's been.
Love Borders.
I was 12, and I remember, when you're young, someone even with 16-inch arms probably just looks enormous to you. But I remember at that time, the cashier, super jacked white dude, had a green V-neck on. And at the time, I was like, this is the biggest human I've ever seen. I remember leaving that place and I was like, that is what I want to be. I want to just be huge. And
I really thought you were going to go with the green V-neck. Like that was the thing that you needed.
Well,
yeah, I guess the arms.
Fast forward to Jersey Shore, I made it happen. So I turned 14 and my parents got me a gym membership. And God bless my mother, even though she didn't want to, she took me to the gym 7 days a week until I got my driver's license. And I trained every single day. I think from the time I was 14 until I was about mid-20s, I had maybe missed a total of like a week and a half. But I trained 7 days a week. I never stopped. Just loved it. And I got so fortunate that when I started, I was in a really unique gym down in the East Bay where it was filled with pro bodybuilders, competitive strongmen, competitive powerlifters. So I had just this wealth of knowledge at my disposal that I didn't even know about. And so when that's just your environment, you're just trying to keep up with the big boys. And so looking back, you're like, man, that was a crazy time to be alive. And look at all this great feats of strength that I was able to accomplish in such a short duration of time. And then you go outside of that weird bubble and you're like, oh my God, I'm a freak. I'm 19 years old, 285 pounds, hammer curling 125s for reps of 20. And so when you're just in that little thing and you're like, this is something special. So with all of that environment that I had around me, I just always had it in my head that I was like, I could probably do something with this. And I never wanted to be a coach. That was never my aspirations. I wanted to be the athlete. I wanted to be the one on the cover of a magazine. I wanted the big contract. I wanted to travel. And back then, you didn't have to be likable. There wasn't social media. There wasn't YouTube. You just had to be good. And that's what I aimed to do. And I didn't have the financial means to just go out and do all the fun stuff that everyone else was doing, with the weird pharmacology and stuff like that. So I had to outwork as many people as I could and understand where that dollar was going with food. And so I was able to learn the science of nutrition really early on to figure out, okay, if I don't have the money or the resources to get the growth hormone, the insulin, and all these other things, and I can only do, the most basic thing, how do I train more efficiently? How do I eat more efficiently? And that's how that started to blossom. And then the first gentleman that I actually prepped for a show, I was 19 years old. And I remember this, I get a phone call one day. He's like, hey, I got this buddy. He needs some help. I was like, okay. So I go and I meet this guy at this real famous gym called Medina's. It's no longer there anymore, but it's a real popular bodybuilding gym back in the day. So I meet this guy. He's about almost 50 years old. And he's 5'3", and he's 155 pounds, oggy. Not a good 155. So we do this prep. I take full control over everything. Didn't charge him a dime, anything like that. And 4 days before the show, he was 184 pounds with shredded glutes. So,
good Lord, what'd you put that poor boy on?
Very minuscule amounts of things. It was the most basic thing. It was a small dose of Test, small dose of Tren, a little bit of Masteron, no Winstrol, nothing else. And I just was able to leverage his efficient training because he was an older guy, so he already had muscle density, and then we could go from there. And that was such a fascinating process for that it just kind of was in the back of my head. I was like, you know what, that was fun. I really enjoyed helping people. And so keep in mind, like I'm not coaching. I'm doing other things. I have other businesses that I'm involved with, yada, yada, yada. So I start getting into helping more people, not taking any money. And I think this is a big draw of where I was able to build a lot of long-term success is the first 8 years that I did any coaching, I didn't charge a penny. I did everything for free out of my own pocket. I traveled to shows, everything. 100% out of my own pocket. I didn't charge anyone because I didn't feel that I had enough knowledge to generate value to those people. If I didn't think that I had enough knowledge to be able to answer every question that they asked me at any given time, I didn't think that I was worth anything. And so that's how that started. And then it just snowballed later. And that's a different part of the story, but we'll come back and reel it back in.
Dude, I love that though. Are you familiar with a gentleman, Cliff Wilson? He's a natural bodybuilding prep coach.
He sounds familiar. I'm sure we've run into paths. If he's around where we live, then I'm sure I've ran into him before.
Yeah, he's kind of in that same realm of kind of running around the world and all that jazz. We had him on, and he gave a pretty similar background to it. It was just, I competed, I liked it, it was great. Buddy, came to me and asked for help. Started helping him. He did pretty well, and then it just kept going. It's like, oh, well, shit, I'm spending all my time doing this. Well, why don't we charge a little bit of something for it? And then fast forward 10, 15 years, it's like, oh, this is the guy owns a successful coaching practice. I feel like a lot of people, we try to jump ahead. Like we want to get to that, all right, I have this 6-figure coaching business tomorrow. Versus the people that are the most successful at it seem to kind of take their time and just, hey, I'm going to help people. I got to figure this stuff out. I got to get good. I don't think I'm good yet. And to just kind of follow a more natural progression of things.
Yeah, and I think that translates into just about every type of business. Because you see, especially with the fitness industry, we see supplement companies come and go like there's no tomorrow. You spend a bunch of money in marketing, you blow up for an hour, and then you're gone and no one remembers you. I'm sure I could name off 4 companies right now that we probably remember, but then you're like, oh yeah, they just disappeared, like Muscle Asylum. What happened to those people? They were in every GNC for like 2 years straight, and then poof, they were gone. So there's a lot of things like that. Yeah. But we own a supplement company as well. And so I don't push it with my people. So I'm not a big drug pusher, and I'm not a big over-the-counter supplement pusher. There are some non-negotiables for sure that you just need to you just need them. The end of discussion. But I'm not a pushy salesperson with my people. I have all the resources for them. Hey, would you like these things? Great. If you don't, also great. It's not going to make or break whatever we got going on. We'll find a way and adapt and overcome. So that mentality of, the TikTok generation of, I need $100,000 right now. Okay, and then what? Then you burnt your bridges just being a slimy salesperson to make $1, and then all your credibility is gone. So you went from, hey, cool, I made $100,000 to unemployment now.
I just think it also kneecaps you. Like sure, let's just say you get that initial success, and let's just say you're able to maintain it. But that's it. You're never going to grow past that $100,000. And we see it a lot with in-gym trainers that, they do some kind of sleazy stuff, but all right, you're making great consistent income month over month because people see that you're that busy trainer. But it's never going to grow into a brand. It's never going to grow into anything past you being Todd, the successful master trainer at 24 Hour Fitness. You've peaked yourself. Or having a mid-level supplement brand. That's the most you're ever going to be. I don't think people think about that as long-term success or that long-term cost of being kind of sleazy.
The scaling for what people like you and I do is so crucial, but there's a question that no one asks. They're like, I got to scale. Okay, when? That's a really tricky thing because there's different variations of, I've scaled my business up. Okay, you've increased your month-to-month revenue. Beautiful. Love it. Keep killing it. What's next? You're like, it made $100,000 a year. Well, what is that? That's what, $266 a day? That's not that much. How do you scale up from that? How much can you do and then still maintain, an enjoyable lifestyle? The whole point of doing this kind of work is, 1, to help, but 2, by not having that 9 to 5, it allows you to have that freedom to go and do cool things. You're not just working to make a living. You're actually enjoying life. So the people that do the personal training, having that hybrid model where you're dealing with people in person as well as remote, that's a great way because you've got 2 streams of revenue for stuff like that. Doing the remote coaching like what we do, scaling up. When do you bring on a sub coach? When do you need an assistant? Do you need an assistant? How is your coaching set up? Do you do it just through WhatsApp? Are you a text message person? Do you use a software? Stuff like Trainerize, things like that. There's so many different variations, but making sure that you have mapped out that scaling process before you attempt to do it is tenfold way more important than just, I need more money. Cool story, bro. We all need more money, but you got to get out of your own way.
Dude, I believe that 100%. One thing that we talk about a lot is merch. Every trainer likes to go out and drop like $5,000 on merch. And then it's like, all right, how long is it going to take you to move that? But your people buy your stuff. That's so different.
No. So my rule with the clothing and stuff like that is anyone who's on the competitive team gets 1 bit of a garment for free. One, I need you as walking advertisement. So when we're backstage at a show, we go in for check-in, stuff like that, you're rocking the company logo. So everybody knows when we went in there and established dominance.
But still, that's a different thing than, all right, great, you've got 20,000 followers and, you're making 20 grand a month. Like, that's pretty great. Awesome. But is $5,000 or $10,000 in merch really going to be a good allocation of funds for growth at that point? Probably not. Like, that's probably not going to be the move. Versus, all right, let's go get a marketing company to work with me, or let's get an appointment setter who can start setting things and taking things off of your plate. So to your point, it's when is the right time to do stuff like that? And I agree. I think a lot of times people try to jump ahead. They hire that assistant or they bring on that coach where, there's not really the type of traffic required for you to have that there. But man, it makes you feel like you're doing something.
Oh, sure. Yeah, someone told me this years ago, and it spirals into another thing I want to talk about. They're like, you should go fly first class. Even if it really hurts you financially, go fly first class because you're never going to want to do it any other way. So you're always going to find a way to hustle to be able to afford that. So when I started looking into the expansion, growth, and things like that, I remember talking to a bunch of different business coaches. And I have a friend who does remote coaching, and he's got about maybe 5 or 6 sub-coaches underneath him. And the company grosses a little bit over $1 million a year. And so they've got 2 appointment centers and stuff like that. It's a big operation.
Yeah.
It's fascinating and it's very inspiring. So I said, who do you deal with? Who do you have for your appointment setters, your closer and stuff like that? And I talked to other people and they all gave me different people's things. And so I talked to every single one of these people, every big name business coach you've heard of, I've talked to them. And they all told me the same crap. And it was so disheartening because I was like, oh, this guy's going to have like the ultimate secret. This person charges $1,000 for 4 weeks of coaching. This person does 3 months for $5,000 and all these things. They all had the same crap to tell you. And it was so frustrating. So I'm going to tell you for free.
What you got for me?
You have to own your intellect. I said, well, what does that mean if you own your intellect? He goes, if I pull 5 coaches next to each other and I say, sell me yourself. And you say, oh, you should hire me because I care and all these things. He's like, that's great. He goes, every person's going to say the exact same thing. So if every person offers the same thing, me as a consumer, I'm going to hire the cheapest person because they all do the same thing. Because you need to showcase that you have something that's exclusive to you. So that way, no matter what they ask or whatever it is, you're the only person that offers it, which allows you to sell a higher ticket item. So that's the basic fundamental of getting into that higher price point is, okay, great. There's something that I do that no one else offers.
The difference between providing a high quality, consistent service versus having a brand that provides a high quality, consistent service, I think is kind of like what you're trying to get at, or at least that's my interpretation.
So you want something that's going to establish that value that, okay, I want personal training. You and I both do personal training. You say, I charge $100, and I say, I charge $250 an hour. Well, the consumer's going to be like, holy shit, why is that guy so much more? Be like, because I have the patent for this one particular thing that no one else is allowed to use. And they're going to be so fascinated by the higher ticket price and the exclusivity behind it that they're going to pay that money. Doesn't mean I'm offering anything better.
You just have that type of air of, let's say scarcity almost.
Exactly.
That thing that I provide this overarching value point with it, but I'm also the only person that does this thing. The price point starts to make a lot more sense. Exactly. That makes perfect sense for me. It's the trainer that you have to get on their schedule 3 weeks out versus the guy that, I can take you today.
Yeah.
Well, I think the guy 3 weeks out, he's probably going to get that sale. The today guy, even though sales is always an emotional right here, right now decision, sometimes just having that scarcity can go a long way, I find.
Oh, yeah. And that's one of the things, like, we see this on social media all the time. You see these marketing employees are like, oh, I'm only taking on 2 more athletes. Like, bro, you is broke. Don't lie.
I'm looking for 5 men. You get the fuck out of here. You're looking for 50.
I love that. They're like, oh, I'm looking for 3. Those targeted ads are just too much, man. They're just too.
Oh, they're gold. 3 men looking to make a change. I'm like, that's every guy on the internet's looking to make a change.
Are you looking to make a change and not suffer through a boring diet? I can help you.
Yeah.
DM me.
Hey man, my business is boring fitness. I like that boring stuff. That's awesome, man. Okay. So how'd we scale past that, though? I mean, this is kind of you getting into the industry. We've established a brand. You know, people know you are the guy. But how do we scale past, you know, the $200,000 a year coaching business, which is, again, for any coach out there making $200,000 a year, congrats. Like, you're slaying it. But how did you grow past that?
So you've got a bunch of different options. And people tell you, like, oh, you got to own the niche. Okay, well, what is the niche? You know, are you only doing contest prep? Are you only doing weight loss transformations and stuff like that? And if you're looking at it purely from a monetary standpoint, you're going to make a significant amount more money doing weight loss transformations, because that kind of clientele is always going to be available, because everyone is going to want to look better naked. That's just the way it goes. So the kind of stuff that I do does put me in a little bit of a bottleneck, because I enjoy dealing with 2 types of things. I can do other things, but I really only enjoy doing 2. I like building freaks, so I do the competitive bodybuilding, and I like working with diabetic patients. Anything else I can do. We have world records in powerlifting. We've done the nutrition for people that compete in the CrossFit Games, MMA fighters, endurance cyclists, all sorts of things. You name a sport, we've been there, we've dominated it, we've got first place. I just get bored with that. So I got into competitive powerlifting as far as like the coaching side of things, but and it sounds kind of like a rude thing to say, but it got boring for me because it wasn't challenging. Making people strong is not hard. Is there money there? Sure, absolutely. It's not for me though. So I just sub that out to other people now. This year I stopped taking on new powerlifting clientele just because I just don't have the drive for it anymore. To answer your question, how do you scale past that particular threshold, is having things available to people at any given time. So if you figure out, like, we'll use this for example, if you're a weight loss transformation person, like look at Mark Carroll. Mark Carroll's a great example for this. You have preset programming already done. So you've done the prep work and everything's done, and now you have a system built to allow you to make money while you sleep. You're able to get new people in, they sign themselves up, they onboard themselves, and everything is done and pre-done for you, and you don't have to do anything except focus on the marketing aspect of things. And then people do the weight loss transformations. You got your before and afters right there. There you go. You got new marketing material. And it's just this beautiful snowball effect. If that is the main... What's that?
I love that. But the systems, it's not to like potentially jump ahead, but I always find what makes a coach, the difference between, again, the 100K to the 200 to the 300 and so on, is just, do you have systems put in place? Do you have a way of doing things that's repeatable? And like you said, having that secondary and tertiary options available to people that I can't afford the big ticket item. That's okay. I get it's a lot of money.
Yeah.
And being able to offer a wide, diverse range of services, I find is almost more beneficial than just hyper niching down to be, I do this one thing for, males 25 to 32. It's like, all right, I mean, yeah, you're going to dominate that space, but I mean, is that really going to be the thing that takes you all the way, though?
Right.
I don't know.
And finding in the different systems used, because there are some amazing programs out there, and then there are some horrible ones too. How engaging are you with your clientele? Like for me, you'll never hear me say that I have clients. I have athletes. Every single one of them is an athlete, and they're family to me. So there's a much different approach to it. So when I look at different programs, because I'm actually switching everything right now from Trainerize to a completely different one. I mean, it's been quite a bit of a journey, and shout out to my assistant because she's killing it right now. But things like Coach Heroic.
I gotta ask now, Laura. I'm so curious. I'm a tech guy at nature. Like one of our other businesses is designing an app. So what are you shifting to? Tell me your tales, if you don't mind sharing.
No, that's fine. I don't gatekeep. So we're switching everything over to Everfit. I am white labeling it, so it'll still be all my branding and whatnot. We started with Trainerize before it sold to ABC, and when it was still when it was still owned by the small little group of people out there in British Columbia. And it was great. Incredible customer service. The tech support was fantastic. The company sold, and it just went downhill at an unbelievable rate.
Oh my God, more features being added that just keep leading to glitches and more things and just...
Well, they keep saying that they're adding all these features, but realistically, all those features were available on 9 out of 10 other platforms a full year ago. They're behind the scale.
Taking them in. Yeah, they're taking them all under house. That's the only difference that's happening there is they're not licensing out anymore, and they're doing a piss poor job about it, in my opinion. But
no, it's been a major bummer, and I feel bad because I want my people to have an enjoyable experience, and if they're like, oh, my Android app is crashing or whatever it may be, that doesn't fly with me. So we needed to step back, figure out what was going to be the right choice for myself, my other coach, as well as the team members, because I want them to be engaged when they're using it on their phone. I don't want it to be like, oh, just here, let me look at a PDF and then I'll just go do whatever. I want it to be enticing. I want them to want to do it. And so when we looked at a bunch of different things, Everfit happened to check pretty much all the boxes. There are a couple weird little wonky things, but as far as the overall system with the ability for automation, the different form check-ins and stuff like that, it really streamlined a lot of the process of what we already did. And so for the time being, we'll see. I think we should have everyone fully transferred over in the next 2 weeks, but it looks promising, so we'll keep you posted.
Yeah, I'm excited for it. I mean, that's finding the different types of softwares and training platforms on there. I always find you're, no matter what, fitting a mold that is not you. And we've been trying to create our own app for a little over 3 years now. And yeah, no, I think it's almost better just to try to fit yourself into an imperfect mold. That's what I'm finding. I'm a little too far gone now at this point, but...
It's a lot. And, because there's always going to be that one feature that you're like, man, I really wish it did this, or I really wish this was available. And we looked at them all. And so my biggest thing, we're going to circle back to the scaling up part, is my communication with my people is next to impossible to mimic. I tell people all the time, I'm like, I put everything in the app for 2 reasons. One, whatever is in the app is always saved in a cloud-based server. So God forbid you lose your phone or something like that, all that information is still there. Also, because I travel so much, from April through the end of October is bodybuilding season. So I'm gone all the time. So if I'm on an airplane, I always make sure that I have Wi-Fi so I'm available all the time. And so I ran into some other programs that looked really promising, like Coach Heroic is phenomenal if that's all you did was just programming, but there's no way to have proper communication with your people individually. It's there, it's just not good. And there was a couple of other things that were missing from other ones. The one that looked to be really promising was a zoo, but they don't have any customer service that speaks English. And so I'm like, that's kind of a major flag. So there, when you look at branching out into getting into a program, you don't have to white label it and put your own logo on it. You're totally fine to do something like Trainerize. What is the other one? There's the Coach Heroic. There's My Coach. There's the
Trainer Notes.
That's what it is.
Yeah, there's tons of those, and they're all more or less a different wrapper on the same program that all integrates into this thing. And like you're saying, there's one feature one will have, another that another will have. That one just it doesn't work right. Like, I'm a big stickler when it comes to whatever nutrition tracker a software will allow in. Like, what's your API? Is it just straight to MyFitnessPal, which I can't stand? I do not like that food database whatsoever. But it's like you find those little things that your business will have that another will have. But all right, so we're making a change from programs. We're creating more systems. Is that kind of the secret sauce, or what's
that is one of the major stepping stones into that next step of that financial freedom. When you have everything in place like that, it allows you to cut down on your onboarding time frame. That is a huge thing. So I have a friend, and he coaches at Olympia level, great guy. And he was like, I picked up a new athlete. It's going to take me 3 to 4 hours to onboard this person. And my brain is just, it can't comprehend this. I'm like, what are you doing? He was like, well, I have to do this and I have to do that. I'm like, I can onboard a new athlete in under 3 minutes and it's done. I've already sent them an invoice. They've paid. They have everything. They have their first week of food. Everything is done. Like, you have to be able to figure out how to, let's say you picked up a corporate account. You got really good at marketing, and now you've set up with a mortgage company, and now they want to do a company weight loss program. There's 20 employees there. Are you going to spend 3 hours for 20 people each person? 60 hours? That doesn't make any sense at all. You're wasting so much time when you could just have everything pre-done, get them going, and then make the little alterations as needed. So having a program like that is not necessary, but it is a huge, huge helping hand.
I feel like a lot of it is not necessary, sure, but I think that's just continuing down the train of what we were talking about before, investing time in a direction and like, great, you're making more money, but you're also spending more time versus, all right, yeah, you're making more money or maybe significantly less, but as you keep going down that threshold of making more money, you're also doing less and less and less as time goes on. I think that's the real
the goal,
trick.
Because you don't want to get paid for your time. And I can hear people getting weird about this. I'm like, that's a poor person mentality. You don't want to get paid for your time. You want to get paid for your experiences, your knowledge, your expertise. If I sat there and I billed people per hour, I'm gonna tell you right now, I'd be piss ass poor. But
well, I think that's what you run into, no matter what you do. Again, even if you are the $250 an hour, which that boggles my mind. I peaked out around $170, $170 an hour, and feeling a little attacked right now, Laura. I thought that was pretty good. $250?
Well,
you bastard.
I don't do any in-person work anymore. I will do some in-person posing stuff for people that are near me, but I tack on quite a bit of money to my monthly fees for my competitive athletes because that covers part of my travel fees because I got to fly somewhere. I need a hotel. If I go to New Jersey, their roads are horrendous, so you have to get a rental car. And so there's a lot of things that go with that. So you're like, man, I'm paying a fortune. Like, yes, but I will be there and I'm there, pretty much at your undivided disposal of attention that you could ever need. I mean, that's too much of a branch to go into everything that goes on with that, but
you're good. I'm like, all right. I'm fascinated to hear what it's like coaching internationally and running around because, well, yeah, I've competed and all that jazz, but I've never done the pro circuit internationally before. Like, good Lord, that's got to be fascinating. Let's stay in our.
So, but real quick, going back to the how do you get more money kind of thing to break out of that 100 into the 200 thing. What is your marketing looking like? And you don't have, and this is a really big, crucial thing because you don't need to have a large social media following to make money. Does it help? No. Sure, absolutely. However, your conversion rate for your social media audience is surprisingly low. If you look at like the basic marketing analytics of email marketing, you get a 1% conversion rate. 1% is pretty crap.
If that. I mean, shit, I've done some marketing campaigns where we barely broke 0.5%, man.
Yeah.
Like,
and you were probably pretty jazzed with a 0.5% too.
Oh, I was ecstatic. I was like, all right, I only paid $1,000 this month and I got this.
This is great.
Yeah. Well, when you're like starting out, especially that first campaign on, on Yelp, it's like getting one person to inquire.
Yelp
like
is the worst. Don't waste money with Yelp.
Oh, I will never use Yelp again. Like I won't even use them to find like reviews for restaurants. That's like how deep seated my anger is for that company.
Yeah. No, that's theft at its finest.
And they know it. They have to.
And they'll tell you. My sales rep told me, he was like, when you stop paying us, we take you out of the algorithm. I was like, oh wow, you were brutally honest there. Guess who's no longer getting my money?
Yeah, it's like, appreciate it.
Yeah, and then so your marketing has to match what it is that you offer. If you're a boot camp person, then going to those, brick and mortar related places, spending time at a farmer's market, getting involved with the community, those are crucial because then people can put a face to it and they want to engage with the local people. They want to know where that dollar is going. That's a different kind of value. But then if you're just saying, hey, we're doing an 8-week weight loss program, you can blast the crap out of that with some fancy pictures and a big booty girl all over the different things. You hire, the parent company of Google and put it on all their programs. And just depending on however your bid strategy is for your advertisement, you could either spend a lot, spend a little bit, but you'll get significantly more audience. Doesn't mean the conversion rate's any better. So doing the bidding, whether you're doing, 30 cents for your bid or $5, it doesn't make the conversion rate any better. It just changes how fast you're blowing through that money. So spending that time to understand what's going on with where your dollar's going is very, very important. We could do an entire 3-hour thing just about marketing, but advertise in your bubble. So if that's what you do, target those people. I'm not going to go to, I've got a great friend, Jared Wade. He's a country music star. He was an athlete of mine, and he owns Redfin Polarized Sunglass Company, and he owns a couple other businesses as well. But that's his world. I'm not going to go to one of these golf events and say, hey, I teach people how to take steroids the right way. You should hire me. That's not my audience.
Probably not going to work.
Yeah. So the point is, scale within your area of expertise. Like for me, my business is done primarily via word of mouth. I've spent thousands of dollars on advertising, and it didn't do anything. If you have people, incentivize them. Give some kind of referral kickback. Whether it's a discount, on their next month of coaching or whatever it may be, make it enticing. Hey, you bring me 2 people, your next month is completely on me. People love free stuff. So that's how I started to really expand, is just the word of mouth. And then like with the diabetic related thing, that one is a little bit different because that's kind of a specialty thing. That one I will, reach out and try and target some people for. But for the bodybuilding stuff, I've been doing this for so long, people just show up.
That's a massive part of how we built our clientele base. As you've found, I'm all thumbs on social media. I just I hit my head against the keyboard and I hope something useful comes out. But we do the same thing. Everything is, we do a good job for someone. Hey, you liked it? Great. Send us someone. We'll take half off your bill. Send us 2 people. Free month. Send us 3. I'll pay you. Yeah. I don't care. Let's go. And I think that can be a very powerful thing. But I think people want to keep shifting towards social media being the only way to grow. Because it's what shows. It's what's popular. It's what the eyes are on.
Yeah. And, if you're doing affiliate links and stuff like that, how easy is that? I mean, I have a couple affiliate things that I do for some other companies, and then I look at it, so I'm like, man, that's a good little extra chunk of money that I didn't do anything for, and they just paid me. Cool.
I think it's finding people on different areas, and that kind of disarms people. Okay. All right. So I've got a little bit of a gist of the journey, Laura, which has been a little storied. I like how everything just kind of evolved, and you kind of fell into doing this, which I think is a pretty common way that people get into coaching and working and training.
I didn't finish that story.
What do you got?
So I got into coaching totally by accident, but I did it out of spite. So
that's fantastic. First time I competed in bodybuilding, I was the pudgy kid, so I was like, fuck you guys, I'm going to show you.
So I was going to this gym. I'm not going to say the name. This story's been publicized quite a bit. So I was going to this gym, and I was helping out 2 people for free. And I was working out. 2 people were competing in powerlifting. They asked me for help. One of them was my girlfriend at the time, and they asked questions. I gave them answers. I didn't think there was anything wrong with it. The people do their powerlifting meets, they win, surprise. And then they go and tell people on social media, oh, Eric was so good, he helped me, and blah, blah, blah. So the gym owners pull me aside and they're like, what did you charge? I'm like, I didn't charge. They're like, well, you need to, and then you're going to give us a cut. I'm like, no, I don't do that. So I was splitting my time between these 2 different gyms, vastly different apart. I mean, there was legitimately like a 2.5-hour drive in between the 2. And so the gym that I was going to, they were like, hey, you need to give us money. I'm like, no, I don't need to, but thank you for offering. So then I'm splitting my time between there and this other gym in Vacaville called Old School Iron. So this gym says, hey, your membership's on hold. Don't come in until we get a chance to review your account. I'm like, oh, okay, that's kind of weird, but whatever. And so they're like, you know what? After much consideration, we no longer want you at our facility. And I thought it was weird. I was like, you know what? That's their gym, the way that they want to run their business. I wasn't going to do anything about it. I wasn't going to make a stink, anything like that.
Well, you can't, right? What are you going to do? Give a 1-star review?
Yeah, like, oh, these people were mean. They said I couldn't train people for free. So I left. No big deal. It was like, whatever, carry on with my own way. But then they started pulling people into their office, and then they were harassing the members. So legitimately 8 people, and some big name people in the fitness industry too, they get a phone call from the gym, say, hey, you need to come in right now. And they made them turn over their phone to see if they were texting and talking shit about the gym and the gym owners. And one person stood up and was like, first of all, even if I was, it doesn't matter. These are my thoughts and opinions, not yours. And so they kicked a couple people out from it just because they were guilty by association with me. Oh, it turned into a huge deal. This is like a 3-week-long story. It's wild. So I get phone calls from the owners of Old School Iron, and they're like, hey, I just want to let you know that these people called and they said that they removed you from the gym and they want us to kick you out of our gym too. We told them, go fuck yourself. They didn't do anything wrong. They can stay here as long as they want. So at the time, the gym had 5 owners. 4 of the 5 owners called me directly to my cell phone, and I live an hour and a half away. They're like, you always have a place to train here. Whether you want to train people or just come work out, this is always going to be available to you. So as a thank you, I trained, I think it was like 18 people just in that 1 year at that gym for free. 2 people took world records. 1 took an all-time world record that still stands. Very proud about that. And then the rest all took state and national records. Not a single person lost. So I got into that coaching purely just as a big to the other people, and it just kind of spiraled from there. And then I started taking on the bodybuilding kind of clientele, and that's when I started actually figuring out, okay, I should probably start charging money for this. But that's how I actually got in. Was some people kicked me out for helping people for free, and then look at me now, traveling the world.
I'm still stuck on, like, it wasn't when you got the world record or anything like that. That wasn't the moment, like, there might be a career here.
No.
I should maybe pursue this. It was, well, I mean, I guess I'm like training 100 people. Well, sure. Why not? I guess we can charge money. It's a little delayed there, bud.
Well, the world record thing was cool, but it was neat bragging rights. I was like, hey, you see that world record Gary Slater did? I helped.
I helped briefly.
So that's how that whole thing got started. And then all the weird stuff that goes on with international travels and the food thing, that all came later. Still fun, though.
Love it, man. All right. So we got a gist of the journey, which I always like hearing about how trainers, coaches establish their brand, because it's all very unique and different, but also all follows the same kind of train of thought of, I'm an athlete, didn't really have anything else to do, pursued it, and just kind of fell into it a little bit. Like, my journey was, I was just overweight and hated myself, so I started working out and found out I was pretty decent at that. And some people asked me questions and was like, oh, I like people asking me questions. This feels good. Well, maybe we pursue this thing. I think everyone kind of has a less standard way that we do things. But I want to shift a little bit to asking some questions, a little bit advice for coaches and trainers in the industry. But something I think a lot of online coaches believe is, if you compete and you help people with weight loss, therefore you must be a competent bodybuilding prep coach. Now, not to toot my own horn, but I'm a pretty damn good weight loss coach, and I have competed in bodybuilding. But I don't think I've got a pot to piss in when it comes to prepping someone for on stage.
Well,
what are your thoughts on that?
You were getting ready for that bodybuilding show down in Texas.
Yep.
Man, time flies, huh?
God, that was a little over 2 years ago now. It's
so
crazy.
I think it's been longer than that now.
Yeah, it's like 2.5 years.
Yeah, wild.
Damn. But what are your thoughts on what makes someone ready to be a bodybuilding prep coach? I'm kind of interested to hear that, because we've spoken to a number of prep coaches so far. Mm-hmm. And I've gotten every answer from just start doing it, you'll figure it out, which, okay, all the way to a guy that competed for 10 years and then decided to take one person for free. So what are your thoughts?
The just do it and you'll figure it out is in the most black and white way possible is pretty spot on.
Really?
Yeah. But let me explain that a little bit more. Science on paper does not always translate into real life application. And I'll give you a brief example of this. So most people have heard of a thing called clenbuterol. It's asthma medication, and it's not widely used in Western medicine, but it is available.
That's some fun things.
Yes, it does. It's an incredible fat burner when used correctly, not the way that the internet bros tell you to do it with this 2 week on, 2 week off shit. Whoever started that, fuck you. So the science behind clenbuterol, when you look at a rat study, it says that, hey, here's this, doses that they gave it, and the rat gained something absurd like 33% muscle tissue. That science does not translate into human application. So understanding the science of what things could do and then how they actually work is 2 totally different things. And a lot of that really only comes from experience. You can have the general idea of, how does a bodybuilder prep go? How do you, on paper, just like, oh, this is how they should peak and things like that. There's so many variables to it that you're never going to be able to properly peak someone every time until you've had some fuck ups. That's the way that it is. And it happens to us all. And sometimes you could have everything on paper 100% and that something still goes awry because life is just full of variables. Now, my recommendation to getting someone into that classification of being an actual contest prep coach is figure out what it is that you enjoy about it. Because I love building freaks, meaning that I'm an old school bodybuilder. This is before they had men's physique, before they had bikini and stuff like that, the idea of anyone under 250 pounds just seemed like, oh, use the girly man. Like, I love freaks. Like Marcus Rule is always in the back of my head. I'm like, yes, I want to be Marcus Rule.
Walk through walls, defy logic when it comes to being a man. I got you, picking up. Yeah.
I want my shadow to weigh 40 pounds. I just want to be huge. I don't want people to look at you and be like, wow, he looks great. I want that. Oh my God. Like, ew. No. Like, yes, tell me I'm good.
Like your physique, it looks attainable. Yeah. Someone told me that when I was like 18, 19, like first year or two in the career, and hearing that I was like, never again.
Nope. Like, is that a compliment?
Insecurities are as high as they're ever going to be now. Thanks. Gonna spend the next 20 years of my life dedicated to this. Appreciate it, dude.
Yeah. So, like, figure out what it is that you have passion for. What is it that you like? What division? Because there's so many different ones. You got bikini, figure, wellness, physique, fitness, women's bodybuilding, men's bodybuilding, classic, men's physique. There's just so many different options. And then just fall in love with it. Because if you fall in love with it, you're going to want to keep learning and you want to get better. So when I do business coaching for people that want to do this, my rule across the board is I want you to learn 2 things every week. I want you to learn something that is fitness related, and I want you to learn something that has nothing to do with the fitness industry, because you're going to get burnt out doing the same crap over and over. You can be textbook smart for only so long. You have to retard your brain a little bit. You can't just be textbook smart, because you're going to burn yourself out, but then you're going to burn out your social circle around you. You can't just be, I could sit here and tell you like, oh, hey, X amount of protein is going to generate a certain amount of gluconeogenesis. You know how many people care about that? Like 2. You and me, that's it.
I was going to say, it's me and you. I can't imagine there's another person that cares about protein conversion into glucose.
Right, yeah. So, and if you're like, I've got a friend and he's a bikini coach and that's all he does. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's his passion and he's incredible at it. But he will tell you he does not have the knowledge to do what I do. Prepping people that are over 250 pounds of striated glutes takes a different kind of knowledge. So if that's your love, like men's physique, you're going to always have clientele ready to go, because that's such a sought after part of the industry. People think that is an obtainable thing. Like, well, I just look good naked and I'll look good on the beach. And when I'm done prepping for my show, I'll go to Hawaii on vacation and I'll have all these great pictures. Perfect. Easy money right there. And then you just kind of figure out, okay, well, what do they need? How do certain people respond to different things? So just my recommendation is to learn and fall in love with it.
I like that. I like that it's passion that then meets experience, and then using that with a strong base of education, of self-learning that equals out your ability to do that. I also like what you said about coaches learning about something that's not fitness related each day. It's one of the things that we work with a lot of coaches in development and getting them to, grow with bigger brands. But one of the things we tell them is have one other thing that you're interested in about. And this is just purely from a business standpoint. It gives you something else to talk to your clients about. Because just being the guy that has the information, the how-to, the what, where, when, it burns people out. And I don't know if you've experienced that, where it's just, my God, I'm all business with this person. Well, 6 months in, those coaching calls are 3 minutes long, and they can't wait to get off the phone with you. Versus the dude you talk about the Knicks with. Oh my God, you can't get that guy off the phone.
So I do a lot with my people for stress management and stuff like that. And whether it's business coaching, the bodybuilding coaching, stuff like that, this is free. You can have this. It works great for everyone because it works good for business people. It works good for fat loss, clientele, everything like that. It's something that I call rainbow goals. Rainbow goal is you can see the end of the rainbow before you've even started. So I tell people when they join the team, I need 3 rainbow goals. I want something easy, something kind of hard, and something that's a long-term goal. Every time you achieve one of these rainbow goals, you reward yourself with something that you want, not something that you need. So with business people, it's pretty straightforward. Hey, I need to gross 20% more than I did last month. You achieve that, you buy yourself something stupid that you don't need, that you want, like a watch or a fancy pair of shoes, something like that. And then you move that rainbow goal a little bit further every time. So that way you always have 3, a short, a middle, and a long-term goal always ready to go. I tell people you don't have to tell me them, but it helps if you tell me so I can help keep you accountable. And so with with the fat loss people, it's pretty straightforward because you say, okay, hey, your short-term goal, you're going to drink a gallon of water every day for 8 days straight. Try and pick like a weird number so it makes them really think about it. And they're like, hey, I did it. Perfect. Reward yourself with, whatever oddball bit of food that you've been craving, whether it be a burger and fries, something like that. Keep it entertaining. And so it's a good way for a nice mental break, but then getting that reward, they're like, oh, I've achieved something, and it makes them want to do it. This also translates into client retention tenfold. My client turnover rate is almost zero. No one leaves. It's like a cult. It's kind of weird. I've had a couple people that are on the team that have been on the team nonstop for over 4 years. We just achieve a goal and move on to the next one. They don't ever stop. Like my goal with people is to teach them. There should be a point where you no longer need me, and then you can go and thrive on your own. If you want to stay on part of the team and keep learning, by all means, I've got years of knowledge that I can gladly teach you, and they just never leave. So making sure that you are offering more than just, hey, cut your carbs back, do more cardio, and send me pictures of your butthole later. Those kind of people don't stay.
Is it because you asked for their butthole?
I mean, I don't ask.
It's implied.
Yeah.
I think that was initially one of the reasons why I was so drawn to you as a coach and creator in the industry, is just you do believe in teaching. It's not just let me get you striated glutes and congratulations, you're going to go fuck off, and in 3 months you'll come back, put 20 pounds back on, and guess I've got a new client. Like, you really do believe in that element of I'm supposed to teach and level my athletes up. And I like how you said that you don't call your clients, they're athletes. That's something I've tried to personify. My clients are horribly resistant to being called athletes, because they're general pop people that want to lose weight.
I'm not an athlete. I have a cubicle job.
Yeah, it's like, all right, well, you're in the gym 5 days a week, dude, and you're counting your calories every day. Like, you're an athlete.
Yeah.
You're an athlete that goes works from 9 to 5.
There's just different tiers of it. Just because you're not, on stage on TV doesn't mean that you're any less of an athlete.
I love that, man. All right, so I have one last question for you, and then I'll kind of turn the board over to you.
What?
So you do a lot of international coaching, and I do a lot of weight loss with people overseas, especially in the UK. But have you found any differences in the foods or challenges in the foods available in different cultures and nationalities that you found relevant or that matters? Or is that even a thing?
It is. And so I only have 2 people on my team that I do macro training for. Everyone else gets a designated meal plan, primarily for a couple different things. I do it that way so I can monitor every possible variable. Because if I just say, hey, I need you to eat 300 grams of protein, blah, 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 I don't know when, unless they're marking everything down. Hey, I ate this at this time. There's too much of a variable to be like, oh, this portion was too big here and then too small here, and it throws off the rhythm. So I keep everything pretty level for everyone. That way I can just monitor the progress or the lack of progress, and then I figure out what went wrong because everything's written out. So when I do that style of coaching, and I deal with people primarily, I had a lot of issues with one lady in the Middle East where her limitations on food, where was she? She was somewhere near Saudi Arabia, and I remember her telling me that she could get chicken and turkey. And I was like, okay, what about anything else? She goes, nope, no cow, no pork. I was like, okay. Chicken and turkey it is. What about fish? She goes, it's extremely expensive. I said, okay, well, what about fruits and veggies and things like that? How can we kind of plan for it? And she goes, don't ask for potatoes because potatoes are like 8 times the cost of anything else. So trying to factor a lot of that kind of stuff in there. Or then I have an athlete, he's one of my big bodybuilders, Brian. Brian just moved from the island of Roatan, which is right outside of Honduras, and their food, because they're on a tiny little island, would be really inconsistent. Some weeks or months they'd have bananas, some months they wouldn't. And so there was a lot of giving him options, a lot of variables, like, okay, this is what I'm asking for, but if they don't have this, this is an acceptable thing. So backtracking to have a wide variety of knowledge so you can have those options to give people is really, really crucial. Especially even people that either live here or in Canada. Canada is kind of a tricky one too, because I don't know if you've ever been to Canada. Canada has almost no condiments because Canada Health is like superfood Nazi. They don't allow anything unless it's ketchup, chips, and A little bit
Gravy.
of oddball stuff. What's that? Oh, poutine. That's
I've,
what it
I've been
is.
to Canada a few times.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
like their gravy.
Yes. You know, so there's a lot of different things there. Like, okay, you know, the majority of things are very similar, but there are some oddball things that you just have to make a little bit of an account for. Most people, I don't know if you ever get this phone call, but people are like, I'm at the grocery store and I can't find cream of rice. And they're like, can I get cream of wheat? I'm like, no, it's not the same, but you can go to the baby food section and get the Gerber rice formula because it's essentially the same thing. Technically, it is slightly different. It is more pulverized, so the actual grams of carbs that you get per serving are going to be less. So you just have to account for stuff like that. But having that bit of knowledge of knowing what is available and what's an alternative really helps when you start branching out into those different cultures.
One I struggled a lot with, this was maybe 2-3 years ago. We worked with our first client in South Korea. She spoke pretty good English, which was helpful for me because I don't speak Korean. But one of the things we found was that she lived with her parents, right? And I don't know how familiar you are with Korean, more Asian cultures. When you're the daughter who lives with mom, you don't really get a lot of choice as far as food. Like, mom's telling you what you're eating, and that's just what's going to happen. So finding that in the navigation that we had to go with was like, I was having to, one, fight this person who has their own unique things that they go through, as everyone goes through in dieting, right? But then I also had to deal with mom who, yeah, she did not like me. Like, I'd be on a call with her and I'd be hearing in the background just like shouting like, it's my mom. She doesn't like you. I'm like, oh, well, you're down 20 pounds, Lauren, so let's just keep going. What to do? I think you just run into all those little differences. Oh, yeah. Laura, this has been fun. I want to be kind of cautious about your time, so I want to flip it back to you. Where can people find you? What do you have going on? Kind of tell us your tales. What projects are on the books?
Man, I'm everywhere. You can find us at Lore Fitness Official on Instagram, Lore Fitness on the interwebs. I'm starting to put more stuff back up on YouTube. I am going to start doing my own, I don't want to call it a vlog because that just sounds cheap and sleazy. I'm going to be
Sounds
doing
very 2005, 2008, right?
Yeah. So I'm going to start doing a YouTube series documenting the coaches side of things, getting people ready for contest prep. So I got a lot of big travels coming up. We've got some fun ones though. Like I've got a big variable one that I'm trying not to let it overly stress me out because it's a really big one. But I've got a guy who's trying to qualify for the Masters Olympia, which is in Tokyo. And dope. Can
I'm waiting on it. Don't worry.